North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is on a surprise visit to Beijing on his first known trip outside the reclusive state since taking power in 2011. 3 people with knowledge of the visit have said earlier. Japanese media reported that a high-ranking Pyongyang official appeared to have arrived by train in Beijing. U.S. President Donald Trump has denied having an affair with adult film actress Stormy Daniels and that he does not believe her claim that she was threatened after an alleged affair. President Donald Trump's personal lawyer has demanded from Stormy Daniels cease and desist after the adult film star said in an interview that she was threatened with violence to stay silent about an alleged affair with Trump. The United States has expelled 68 Russian diplomats. The move comes in response to the alleged Norwegian attack on ex-Russian spy in the United Kingdom. The U.S. government says that out of the 60 expelled, 12 have been identified as intelligence officers who were stationed at the United Nations in New York. British Prime Minister Theresa May has said that 18 countries have announced plans to expel Russian intelligence officers in response to Moscow's suspected involvement in a Norwegian attack on a former Russian spy. May told Parliament over 130 people could have been exposed to the military-grade nerve agent that poisoned ex-spy Sergei Skripal and his daughter. Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko has said that Kiev will expel 13 Russian diplomats in response to the poisoning of a former Russian spy. Ukraine announced plans to expel Russian officials in a gesture of solidarity with Britain. It is the biggest Western expulsion of Russian diplomats since the height of the Cold War. White House spokesman Raj Shah has said the United States would like to have a cooperative relationship with Russia, but Moscow's action, like a brazen attack in England, is preventing cordial ties. Russia government spokesman Dmitry Peskov has said Moscow regrets the decision by Western government to expel its diplomats over the alleged poisoning of a former Russian double agent. He said Moscow's response will be based on the principle of reciprocity. Peskov said President Vladimir Putin would make the final decision about how Russia responds to the expulsions. U.S. Defense Secretary Jim Mattis has said that the United States stands with its allies following the expulsion of Russian diplomats from several capitals over a nerve agent attack. Reacting to the U.S. and EU move, Russia's ambassador to the United Nations called the U.S. decision as very unfortunate and very unfriendly. U.S. ambassador to the United Nations Nikki Haley justified the action under a 1947 agreement that established the United Nations headquarters in New York. Russian President Vladimir Putin held talks with Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani in Moscow as government of several Western states, including the United States, announced they would expel Russian diplomats. The European Union held an uneasy summit with Turkey where it is likely to provide Ankara with fresh cash to extend a deal on Syrian refugees but deflect Turkish demands for deeper trade ties and visa-free travel to Europe. Bulgaria, which hosted the summit, viewed the meeting as a rare chance for dialogue with the country that remains a candidate for EU membership despite years of stalled talks. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has met with German Foreign Minister and his appreciation to the contributions of Germany to Israel's security. Later, Netanyahu also met with France's Foreign Minister Jean Le Drian in Jerusalem and discussed the mutual stand against terrorism and the regional conflict. Israeli police question Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu over his alleged dealings with the country's largest telecommunication company in one of 3 corruption cases weighing on the leader's political future. It was the second time the Prime Minister was questioned in the case. Netanyahu is suspected of awarding regulatory favors to Beijing Telecom, Israel, in return for favorable coverage on a news site controlled by the company's owners. Shares of Facebook Incorporated fell more than 5% on Monday after the U.S. Consumer Protection Regulator made public its investigation of how the social network allowed data of 50 million users to get into the hands of political consultancy Cambridge Analytica. Scrutiny by U.S. Trade Commission adds to pressure by lawmakers in the United States and Europe for Facebook chief executive Mark Zuckerberg to explain how his company handles user data. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has met with France's Foreign Minister Jean Le Drian in West Bank city of Ramallah and discussed the frozen Israeli-Palestinian peace talks. Former U.S. President Barack Obama has said he is focused on creating a million young Barack Obamas who would further his work on human progress. Obama also said he hoped the work of his Obama Foundation could create the next group of people who could take that baton in the relay race that is human progress and continue to build on the work that we have done. Barack Obama also said that adults should take example of the courage and effort of survivors of the February 14 mass shooting at Parkland School in Florida. The former president also referred to the hundreds of thousands of young Americans that rallied across the United States in a march for a life's protest to demand tighter gun laws. The number of Jews and Arabs between the Mediterranean Sea and Jordan River is at or near parity. This is according to figures cited by Israeli officials. Demography is studied closely on both sides of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict because of its potential implications for both societies as they weigh possible solutions to the bitter conflict. Brazilian appeals court has rejected final procedural objections raised by lawyers of former leftist President Lula da Silva against his conviction for corruption. However, Lula will not be in prison until the country's Supreme Court decides on April 4th whether to accept his request, allowing him to exhaust his appeals process before landing in jail. Former Catalan President Carles Puigdemont's lawyer has said there are no resolutions yet on the extradition of the arrested Catalan leader from Germany to Spain. On Monday, Puigdemont appeared before a regional court in Neumünster, which extended his detention pending a decision on extradition. A German court has extended the detention of former Catalan President Carles Puigdemont pending a decision by a higher court whether to extradite him to Spain. Puigdemont will remain in remand in Neumünster in northeastern Germany, where he was brought after being arrested crossing the border into Germany on Sunday. Supporters of the arrested Catalan leader Carles Puigdemont staged a protest outside the prison where Puigdemont is being remanded in custody. A German court said it was likely to take several days to decide whether to extradite Puigdemont to Spain to face rebellion charges over the region's campaign for independence. The International Defense Team for jailed Catalan lawmaker and former civic leader Jordi Sanchez has said if he was not allowed to exercise his political rights, Spain would be in violation of international law. Sanchez is accused of sedition for his role in Catalonia's independence drive. The grandmother of Stefan Clark, the unarmed black man who was shot 20 times by police last week in California's Sacramento, has said she wants justice over the killing of his grandson. She questioned the police on why he was shot directly instead of being disabled by a taser or shot in the hand or leg. The Russian Emergencies Ministry said it had recovered 58 bodies from the site of a shopping mall fire in Siberian city of Kemerovo. An official said a search was underway for another 6 still missing in the tragedy. 4 people have already been detained, including 2 employees of the firm that services the mall's fire alarm. One of the several missiles fired by Yemen's Houthi militia on early Monday also hit a residential area in Saudi capital Riyadh. An enormous hole had opened in the peeling green painted ceiling of a home which was filled with smoke and debris. Egypt's Coptic Christian minority voted in the country's presidential elections on Monday, expressing strong support for incumbent President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. Egypt's largest Christian minority has increasingly been targeted in recent years by Islamist militants, including Islamic State, which is waging an insurgency in the north of the remote Sinai Peninsula. Germany's Justice Minister Katharina Barley has said companies like Facebook must face stricter regulation and tougher penalties. Barley also summoned chiefs in Germany after allegations surfaced that data from millions of its users was improperly used by consultancy firm Cambridge Analytica to target US and British voters in close-run elections. The New York City Police Department officers have rescued a suicidal man from the edge of the Triborough Bridge. The man eventually passed out, allowing officers to drag him off the edge of the bridge. He was taken to a local hospital for treatment where he was in serious but stable condition. Sierra Leone's delayed presidential election runoff will go ahead on March 31st after a delay caused by allegations of fraud in the first round. The country's election commission has requested that the election be pushed back 4 days because its preparations had been interrupted by a high court injunction imposed on the election. Despite security challenges ravaging the northeastern states of Nigeria, the World Food Programme says new data shows that the situation for extremely vulnerable families has improved further in the past 6 months due to sustained humanitarian assistance. However, the Famine Early Warning System Network recently said there was an elevated risk of famine in that area. Spanish police has arrested a man who allegedly stole as much as $1 billion from banks by altering account balances and instructing automatic teller machines to issue cash. The suspect, who is blamed for malware attacks known as Carbonac and Cobalt, was arrested after cooperation between police forces in the United States, Asia and Europe. Mountains covered with orange snow surprised skiers in Russia, Bulgaria, Ukraine, Romania and Moldavia. Videos and stills uploaded to social media showed the rare phenomenon where snow was colored with an orange shade. Reports say sand from the Sahara Desert storms combined with snow and rain is what caused this view. The ruling Bharatiya Janata Party and the opposition Indian National Congress have traded barbs over data privacy issue on political party apps. The row comes at a time of heightened sensitivity worldwide after the alleged misuse of personal data amid the unfolding Facebook Cambridge Analytica controversy. The Supreme Court has said the only punishment that can be awarded to a murder convict is life imprisonment, and trial court judges have no discretion to award lesser punishment. The apex court decision comes as it upheld the Gujarat High Court order enhancing the sentence of a murder convict from 10 years to life imprisonment. An FIR has been registered against a station house officer for allegedly molesting a woman journalist at a protest by JNU students and teachers in New Delhi. The Delhi police officer has been sent to district line. The case has been transferred to the crime branch of Delhi police for further probe. A CRPF trooper was injured in a Naxal ambush in Chhattisgarh's Sukma district on Monday. The Naxals also detonated an improvised explosive device to target security forces. The injured Jawan was later evacuated for medical care to nearby Dantewara district. Social activist Anna Hazare has lost 4 kilograms as his indefinite hunger strike entered its 4th day on Monday. Hazare has been on an indefinite hunger strike since March 23rd, demanding the appointment of an anti-corruption ombudsman or Lokpal at the centre and Lokayuktas in states. The Tamil Nadu government has organized a mass marriage ceremony for 86 underprivileged couples in Coimbatore city on Monday. The grand occasion saw the presence of decorated elephants at the entrance to welcome the guests. The state government gifted basic items like cupboards, utensils, bed, mattresses and a table to the newlyweds to mark the beginning of a new life.